As a manager, you need a plan to build respect. I'll walk you through this 12-month respect building plan so that you can reduce stress, you can enjoy your job as a leader, and you can feel that you're being more respected as a manager. If you haven't seen my video on this template, I'd recommend you watch the link in the description first and then come back to this video. As well, I will leave a link in the description for this template, and it's a free template. So to begin, this template goes over the things I discussed in the top 15 tactic video, which I've left in the description. As always, I've left my email here if you have any questions or scenarios you need help with. So the first page of this template just goes through how to use the template. And then below is the actual template. In blue is basically some examples so you can understand how to use this template. Again, it's a one-page template. The whole purpose of this is you would print this out. And in this case, it's for 12 months. So you'd print this out and you'd leave it on your desk for 12 months. And there are actionable things that you can do and track to basically move forward in this respect journey that you're on with your employees. So just going back to the top, instructions, print out the form for easy accessibility. And then the first section is on helping. So basically general help, help on stationery and birthday cards. Again, may seem weird, but I'll go through this in the scenario. The second section talks about one-on-ones with your employees. The third section talks about monthly and weekly tracking of specific items. The fourth section talks about once per year items to basically do. And then there's a general comment section. And then most importantly, after this 12 months is completed, basically you want to assess, have you built more respect with your employees, or are you still at the same state? If so, likely you probably haven't implemented some of these things. But let's go on to the template. So as I mentioned, first section, helping and their birthday. So I'll go into what that means. So this template's for 8 employees. So you would start off by putting the initials of those employees in this box here. And then this first section talks about stationary help. So once again, we're trying to build respect in this section. You're doing simple things like seeing if your employees need any stationery or they have issues with their desk or a mouse or anything like that. So in this case, you would record what you supplied to your employee and when you did that, just sort of so you can look back over the year and see, have you been doing things for your employees to help them out in their jobs? So in this case, GL, the employee, had an old mouse and you dealt with it on January 2nd. And then another item you dealt with, the employee needed a monitor stand. Maybe their monitor was too low. And November 3rd, you purchased a monitor stand for that employee. Employee AK, had issues with back, so was complaining to you, so you got a sit-to-stand desk for that employee February 21st, and also purchased an ergonomic chair September 14th. So you basically tracked over the year some of the things that you did with your employees to show them that you care. And again, when you show your employees that you care, you're naturally building relationship with that employee, which inevitably builds respect. The second section here is, as I mentioned again, this is just general things that you might help your employee with. And I have spots for 2 times a year. So you want to target to try to do 2 things per year with each of your employees for the stationery office supply section, and just general help items that you want to do for your employees twice a year. So in this case, you changed the work instruction for that employee on November 1st. And for this employee, you modified a work schedule. Maybe they had issues picking up their kids. So you modified the work schedule September 1st. So again, you helped those employees deal with some of their legacy issues, maybe from a past manager that never dealt with them. And then this final section, over the year, whenever their birthday happens, you'd write them a personalized birthday card and you put that date here. So ideally, it would be amazing if all of this was filled in. You help them out with getting some stationery items dealt with. You help them out with 2 projects each. And then finally, you wrote them a personalized birthday card and then put their birthday. So just this section alone is showing your employees that you care about them, and then it's more meaningful than just a simple coworker to leader relationship. In the second section, the way we're building respect here is through one-on-one meetings with your employees. So once again, you'd write down the employees' initials here. And then ideally once in the year, more if possible, but at least once in the year, you'd have a discussion with them, a one-on-one, and you put that date when you had that meeting. And then you'd pick one main item that you can support them on based on that meeting, just one, because if you can do one thing for each of these employees, that's going to move the bar in a good direction. So again, in this section, one main item you can support them on based on the meeting. So in this case, the employee mentioned they procrastinate a lot getting the reports, so they need help with that. So here you'd record a short-term goal to help support them based on their meeting. In this case, following up weekly with them to help them. And the goal status, in this case, you do that weekly. For AK, you met with them on March 1st. And a big thing from the meeting you had with them is they want to improve their presentation skills. So you've given an opportunity once per month over here to allow the employee to run your team meeting. And that's going to help them build their presentation skills and show them that you want to see them develop and, ideally take your job or move on in their career. In this next section, monthly, weekly tracking items. There's a number of items in the other video that I go through these 15 respect building tactics. So this is where those items are tracked monthly, weekly. And then you would just put X's if you actually did those things within those respective months. So the first one is having monthly potlucks. Food is a good way to bring employees together and just to bring people together and build relationships in general. So in this case, as an example, I had a potluck January, March, April, August, September, October. You know what? I didn't do all 12 months, but I never did this before. So this was better than the previous year, if this was the reality. Humorous emails, that was another thing to track. So at least once a month, sending out an email to your team, just more of a humorous, lighthearted email as opposed to maybe some more aggressive or very specific emails that you would do for work. And this just lightens up the the flavor of the month. It makes it a little easier to get through. This next item was employee of the month. So ideally having an employee of the month voted on and posted. Again, building a team, building teamwork between your own internal team and allowing people to rate others and ultimately promote or highlight people that did a great job in a month. So in this case, I had done it June, September, and December. Okay, didn't do it every month, but it was done more than the previous year. And then this section is just doing weekly meetings every month. So this just allows you to track for each of the 4 weeks in the month, and then if there's a 5th week, putting that in. So sure, there's some gaps, but once again, perhaps I wasn't doing this much in the previous year, but now because I have this template, I'm a little more diligent. I can see where I'm missing, and I started picking up my socks and doing it more, and then that was able to build more respect. In this last section, once per year, again, it says complete these tasks in the next 12 months. You record the date when you did them, and then just some notes so you can remember for the next year if you decide to use this template yearly is, would you do this again, or some other comments. So one is give employees a personalized Christmas card. I actually did this past year, wrote them a personalized Christmas card, and they came back. Some of them came back a couple of days later and thanked me for it. It's not something that their managers never did for them before. So that was valuable, and that's why I add this to this template. As a reminder, I am an active operations leader. Have been doing it for quite a few years with a number of different teams, and these are things that I've learned through trial and error. So this is real stuff. This is not consulting type stuff. These are real people, and these are real things I've tried out in the past, whether it's at my current company or previous companies. Second one, buying a round of coffee donuts for employees on your birthday. Sorry. So did that, and it was great. So would do it again. Get some company swag for your employees. In this case, the company doesn't have company swag, but if they do, get some for your team. You can show that you care about your team, and maybe other managers aren't doing it, and you're gonna shine in comparison to the other departments. Invite another department manager into your team meetings. Maybe there's an engineering manager or quality manager you want to invite into your team meeting, so employees can maybe they have some questions they want to discuss, and it's a great time when everybody's together. So that's that happened once in the year, and you can do it multiple times, but the goal of this was to do it once so that your employees can see that you're trying to connect your team with others. Get a special gift, personalized pen, notebook for your employees. That's always a great thing to do. You can do those things on Amazon or other places, and then your employees would really appreciate that. Tell your team about yourself. Don't brag about your career. What are your hobbies, your family? You have kids. What are they into? Discuss things. Be open to your employees about yourself. It shows vulnerability, and that you're not just some mean boss or some dictator or some micromanager. You're a real person just like they are. Sure, you got a title, but the title means nothing. It's about building relationships. So if you can do that, at least the first year that you're managing them, that will really pay off. And it might open doors for similarities to your other employees. They might talk to you, hey, my son also likes hockey, or my daughter's into soccer. And then finally, write an appreciation letter to your team. I actually did this in this past December. I used ChatGPT, but still, it was able to produce better writing than what mine would have been. So, I wrote something and then asked ChatGPT to make it sound a little better. But appreciation around the board. And then there's just a general commentary. You can write stuff down in here, throughout the year. Again, this template, you'd print it out, leave it on your desk, and you'd basically, fill it out through the year, and it'd be a reminder to you to move things in a small direction. So basically, as I mentioned in some of my other videos, respect is built with actions. It's built with, intention, trust, spending time with your employees. It's, you don't need to have a special level of experience or have some amazing degree, business degree, MBA, psychology degree. It's about doing small things with intention with your employees.